Week 19 in MLS. As ever, we'll be bringing you all the action as teams jockeyed for playoff positions in the East. It was a visit to the bottom side Toronto for Bruce Arena's runaway leaders. While in the West, 3 teams had the chance to end the week in top spots, including the Seattle Sounders, who faced their arch rivals Portland, and that's where we begin our review.
It was Derby Day in Portland as the Timbers hosted their Cascadia rivals for the second time this year, after Brian Smetzer's Sounders took all 3 points on enemy territory back in May. Commentary comes from Dan Roebuck.
Kellen Rowe for the Seattle Sounders. Looking for Alex Roldan on the right-hand side. Back for Rowe. In comes the delivery. This is Rui Diaz. Ivacic with a save. It'll come back out towards Christian Roldan. Here is his younger brother Alex. That's a really good run. And still Roldan. It's popped up towards Montero. Right place, right time. Once again for Fredy Montero. Terrific stop from Ivacic from Rui Diaz. Really good build-up play involving the Roldan brothers. And Montero, as he has been throughout his career, to prod home his 8th against the Portland Timbers. Mabiala, it's a little loose. João Paulo, the Brazilian comes forward and the Timbers defence just back away. This is Fredy Montero. Montero! He's done it again! Back with Seattle this season and back causing Cascadia chaos. 17 goals now in Cascadia Cup clashes. There won't be many better than this. The Timbers really have been cut down to size in the first half. How do they respond? Blanco, can he do something? This is Mora. Blanco has continued his run. Blanco ricocheted in. The deflection took it over Cleveland, who could do nothing about that. Sebastian Blanco started and finished the move. Shane O'Neill with the attempted block. Portland back in it. Timbers Army are demanding more. Their side have a corner. Seattle will clear. This is Bravo! Cleveland with a save for Shive! 2-2. We're all square. What a time to score your first Portland goal. And for the club where you started your career, back now there this season. 2 apiece at Providence Park. For Shive to turn, but he's lost possession. This is Raul Rui Diaz, brought down by Mabiala, inside or outside the penalty area, just outside, and a yellow card to the Portland Timbers defender. That was clumsy. Madero and Rui Diaz standing over this. Rui Diaz! Power and precision. Seattle lead again. And it's their top scorer that comes to the party. A wicked free kick. Ivacic, no chance. Roldan. Lodero. Surrounded by Portland Timbers personnel and brought down, potentially by Diego Chara. It's another free kick here to the Seattle Sounders. Chara complains. This time it will be Lodero, I fancy. It is Lodero, saved by Ivacic, and Rui Diaz pounces. The Peruvian poacher with a double. And Seattle lead by 4 goals to 2. Giovanni Savarese can't believe it. João Paulo with the corner. Madranda! Unbelievable! Unstoppable! And the Sounders, undeniably kings of Cascadia. What a strike! 30 seconds remaining of the added-on 4. Roldan for Benazet on his Seattle debut. The joy of 6.
The 113th meeting between these great old foes ends emphatically in Seattle's favour. Rave green rule at Providence Park.
I tell the guys that they have to enjoy these moments. You know, it's not every day that we're going to come down here against our arch rival, against a well-coached team. Gio does a very good job here. This was a complete performance.
The only side above Seattle in the Western Conference going into Week 19 was SKC, and the leaders travelled to Texas. Improving FC Dallas were unbeaten in 4 games and threatened an early opener as Chabot Chun was denied by Tim Miliak. Instead, though, it was the visitors who went in front just a dozen minutes in. Gadi Kinder played in Alan Pulido, and the Mexican international did the rest, scoring his 8th league goal of the season. SKC's only defeat in their previous 8 MLS matches had come at home to Dallas just a couple of weeks earlier, and they were under pressure again in the second half. When Chun was stopped, Ricardo Pepi hit the post, as Luchi Gonzalez's side attempted to preserve their unbeaten home record this season. 6 minutes later, they were thwarted by the frame of the goal again. Some fine approach play involved Pepi and Paxton Pomykal before Chun's strike hit both the bar and the goal line. SKC, who'd conceded 6 in a midweek Leagues Cup loss to Mexican side Club Leon, were hanging on at this stage. So there was further frustration for Chun and Dallas when his fellow Hungarian Daniel Szalawi then provided the security of a second goal that Sporting KC were in such need of. Szalawi's 11th of a standout MLS season, sealing victory for the visitors.
The LA Galaxy with a third side with a chance to take top spot in the West this week as they travel to Minnesota. And Jonathan Klinsmann, making his seasonal debut, was set for a busy shift, denying Ethan Finley inside 3 minutes. Kevin Cabral has taken a little time to get his Galaxy career off and running, but having scored against the Vancouver Whitecaps last week, the Frenchman was at it again versus the Loons. A perfectly timed run and finish, giving the Californian club the lead just before half-time. The second period was all about Klinsmann, who channeled his inner Gordon Banks to keep out Jan Gregush. And the son of former USA coach Jurgen was needed once more to spectacularly push away Juan Agadello's ferocious strike. Whatever Adrian Heath's side threw at the stand-in stopper, he was up to the task. Emmanuel Reynoso, the last to try and break through.
What a save by Klinsmann again! What a moment in the life and career of Jonathan Klinsmann.
With only 1 loss in their last 7, the Colorado Rapids were looking to stay in touch with the top 3 when they visited Houston and got off to the perfect start as Lalas Abubakar headed home Jack Price's corner just 5 minutes in. Houston went into this one on the back of an 11-match winless run, but the Dynamo were still undefeated at home this season and were afforded a chance to get back on terms just before the break when Michael Barrios brought down Maynor Figueroa, those two former teammates at FC Dallas. Up stepped Fafa Pico with a penalty deep into first half added time, impressively picking out the corner to score his 4th goal of the season and 2nd in 3 matches. Barrios was to make amends on the hour though. Colorado's own penalty shout when Diego Rubio went down was ultimately academic as the ball broke for Marc-Anthony Kaye to tee up Barrios for his team-leading 5th goal of the campaign and restore the Rapids' lead. They required a big save from William Yarbrough shortly afterwards to preserve it, preventing Matias Vera from making it 2-2. Instead, Tab Ramos' team were beaten at BBVA Stadium for the first time since Colorado's win here in November at the end of last season. Brian Galvan's strike heading towards the last 10 minutes was some way to settle this result and earn the Rapids another win on the road.
Houston's Texan rivals Austin FC travelled to Rio Tinto Stadium for their first ever meeting with Real Salt Lake. They were unlucky not to take the lead. The woodwork coming to RSL's rescue as Diego Fagundes hit the post before Thomas Pochettino could only head wide. The hosts struck just past the half hour. A header from a former Bundesliga striker back in the States for the first time since his junior career.
Bobby Wood! The family is here and they are on their feet and ourselves in front.
Just after half-time, the game's controversial moment. Justin Merrim helped win the ball deep in Austin territory. Julio Cascante brought down the former Columbus midfielder on the edge of the area. Referee David Gantar initially issued a caution to the Costa Rican defender, but after review, this challenge was deemed worthy of a card of a different colour, and Cascante was sent off, much to the annoyance of Austin coach Josh Wolf. Down to 10 men, Austin created little and were always in danger of conceding again. Michael Chang served it up for RSL, Brad Stuver at the net to deny him. The defeat went down badly on the Austin bench. Assistant coach Davy Arnaud red-carded after showing his displeasure at the matchday officials, as the Texans lost for the 10th time this term.
The San Jose Earthquakes were unbeaten in 7 as they welcomed Vancouver to PayPal Park. The Whitecaps started bottom of the West, but began this game brightly. Brian White forcing an important early save from JT Marcinkowski. San Jose's better chances came after the break. Jeremy Ebobisse was making a first Quake start since his high-profile trade from Portland at the end of the transfer window. And he was so close to marking it in style, as Matias Almeida's men attempted to move into a playoff position. Deep into added time, Cade Cowell couldn't convert when a corner came his way, courtesy of Nathan's header. And Vancouver held on for their 5th consecutive draw.
When you are offered Atlanta United, I mean, you go for it.
A chance to impress new coach Gonzalo Pineda for an Atlanta side who have regained that winning feeling.
And it's Barco breaking the ice.
A feeling that visitors LAFC also need to rediscover, and fast.
It's now a 4-goal deficit. LAFC punished.
Commentary comes from Matt Jackson and Phil Blacker.
There's Rossi for LAFC, long been linked with a move of his own to Europe. Palacios with the cross, can anybody get the touch to it? Franco with the attempted clearance, back in, spectacularly it goes. Now the whistle has gone as well as the flag up far side, after that little frenetic period of play.
It's into a dangerous area, it's got to be better than that though. That's pretty passive.
Here it comes from Barco. Very valiant attempt. There was a touch on the way through. Not quite for Ezequiel Barco.
I'm not sure it was destined for the top corner. You feel like goalkeeper saving that had it been fully on target.
Danger. It's Barco on the ball. Martinez and Moreno, options either side. This is Josef Martinez, and still didn't quite get enough on the shot. And it's Latif Blessing to clear it away with Moreno lurking.
No, it's an interesting one. He'll be disappointed. I think there's contact as he cuts inside as well. 3-on-2 situation. He does well to stand up, but it's a really poor shot with his left foot.
He goes full again. Thought he was a goal scorer, mighty turn provider here for Rossi. It's just going to creep wide, but LAFC are getting closer and closer.
Fall does brilliantly again. The weight of his cutback is superb. And Rossi, once he takes his first touch and gets himself into the box, you think he's got to score. Then probably Guzan just does enough.
Oh, Barco might be in here. And he is able to pick the pass for Josef Martinez with an unerring finish for Atlanta United. How about that for a start to the second half?
Murillo it is who doesn't cut the ball out. This long straight ball, he's got to do better. Doesn't move his feet quickly enough, and then they're in trouble. Big gap in the middle, that's a lovely weighted ball. Martinez, fine finish, you know he's got that quality about him.
So look for the swift response. Cifuentes was the half-time change. Oh, how about that for an effort? Belted against the bar. Very nearly an instant introduction to the game. He might have another go here, Cifuentes. Yeah, now Palacios. Well, this is some start to the second half.
Oh, the parry gets in the shot is unbelievable.
They have an opportunity here. That was close. As close, really, as Diego Rossi has been all day.
It's a stretch in the midfield. Shouldn't be giving the ball away there. Good little bit of skill. Doesn't hit the target.
I have a lot of pressure because I need to make score here. I have 4 goals, but all 4 away. The most important 3 points. We go thinking about the next game. And when I stand out in front of the people, I just enjoy it, man, because they made me special and I love them so much.
Bottom met top in the East as Toronto FC welcomed runaway leaders New England to BMO Field. Tajon Buchanan was returning to his roots, and the Brampton boy came back to haunt his hometown club when he grabbed his 4th goal of the season to put the Revs in front. TFC have had a terrible year, but still look capable of mixing it with the best in the conference. As arms went up in appeal for a penalty, Ifeanyi Achara played on, grazing a post with a curling effort. An equaliser did come with just over 10 minutes remaining. Alejandro Pozuelo and Jefferson Soteldo traded passes from a short corner. The Spaniard threaded across into the area, and Jonathan Osorio made it 1-1 as Toronto looked more like their old selves. Their new failings, however, were on show just minutes later. Teal Bunbury, Gustavo Bo and Adam Buxer combined inside the TFC box before the Polish striker was clumsily brought down by Eric Zavaleta. Javier Perez's side conceding a 4th spot kick of the season. Bo had missed the last penalty he'd taken, but made no mistake from 12 yards this time to register his 12th goal of the term and claim the points for the Supporters' Shield leaders.
With the Revs streaking away at the top, New York City FC have been making headway of their own and had a chance to move into second in the East against Inter Miami. 20 minutes in, Maxi Morales' brilliant ball picked out Tati Castellanos to open the scoring. Miami have been improving of late, unbeaten in 4 before this, and Gonzalo Higuain was a fraction away from equalising when played in behind the NYCFC defence, beating Sean Johnson, but not the bar. The Herons' task was made all the harder, though, just before half-time after a handball in the box by Kelvin Leerdam. The home side had missed 3 times from the spot in exiting the League's Cup in a shootout in midweek, but Castellanos had successfully converted his kick and showcased his confidence right now with a Panenka penalty past Nick Marsman, making it 5 goals in 6 games for the Argentine in all competitions. Castellanos came close to his hat-trick late on, and although his luck was out on this occasion, 2 was already enough for NYCFC to see off Phil Neville's side and stretch their unbeaten MLS sequence to 6 matches.
Nashville's 9-match unbeaten run came to an end against Miami last week. Perhaps still suffering a hangover, they conceded inside 3 minutes to DC United. Frederic Briand with the header. The Frenchman was back on defensive duty in no time with an incredible last-ditch double block. Firstly halting Alistair Johnston's goal-bound shot, and then keeping out Hani Mukhtar's close-range effort. Simply brilliant from Briand. He could do little to prevent Nashville levelling just before the quarter hour. DC undone by a regular tormentor, CJ Sapong with his 8th goal against the Capital Club. The former SKC Union and Fire striker is enjoying a renaissance at Nashville and struck once more.
And Sapong is there again!
The men from Music City were hitting all the right notes. Mukhtar with the fast feet and ferocious strike. 3-1, and the first half scoring wasn't done with yet. Hernan Losada's team were unbeaten in 5 and weren't going to just roll over.
And this is Kamara now to pull one back.
Gary Smith's side hadn't lost a home game all season though, and controlled the second period, adding a fourth when Alex Muil spun and found the nets with just over 10 minutes remaining. And while Brion's match started well, it ended badly. His mistimed challenge caught Muil, who took responsibility himself from the spot.
It's Alex Muil, scores!
A second 5-goal home haul for Nashville in just under a month.
Sat just below Nashville and DC in the playoffs heading into the weekend with the Columbus Crew, despite Caleb Porter's champions losing 3 on the bounce before their visit to Chicago. In a first half of few chances, Darlington Nagby went close for the Crew early on at Soldier Field. The Fire have been finding some form of late and began to threaten more frequently in the later stages as they tried to make it 4 matches unbeaten. A fine save from Elo Rome was required to keep out Robert Berich's header. Chicago kept coming though, and the Fire finally forced themselves in front inside the closing quarter of an hour when the ball fell favourably for Lukas Stojanovic to score. A 6th of the season for the Serbian, who got both their goals in victory over the New York Red Bulls a week earlier. Back-to-back wins for the Fire for the second time this season were secured after a huge scare in stoppage time. Bobby Shuttleworth saved well from Alexandru Maton, and the scramble that followed ended only when the ball hit Bradley Wright-Phillips and then the post. Not much going the champions' way right now as their summer slide continues.
To our final game in Stade Saputo, the New York Red Bulls travel north of the border to face Montreal in a game that was all about stoppage time. In the added minutes of the first half, the visitors won a penalty. Andrew Gutman fouled by Alias Struna. Patrick Klimala coolly converting for his 4th goal of the campaign. Montreal rallied in the second half. Georgi Mihailovic showed pace, skill and persistence before supplying a cross that Sanusi Ibrahim headed home. The Nigerian teenager with his first goal in Major League Soccer. Midway into what turned out to be a dozen extra minutes at the end of the match, a dramatic conclusion. A second spot kick of the game awarded when Amro Tarek handballed inside the area. Bjorn Johnson took responsibility. Carlos Coronel guessed right to deny the Norwegian. The Red Bulls' celebrations were cut short, however, as their Brazilian keeper was adjudged to have moved off his line. Take 2, this time Mason Toye, and incredibly, Coronel saved again. But once more, he took a jump forward. Third time was a charm, though, for Montreal, as Victor Wanyama blasted his penalty through the fingers of the Red Bulls stopper to give the Canadian club a late victory.
That victory for Montreal lifted them into the playoff places in the East at the expense of the Columbus Crew, whilst NYCFC and Nashville both moved above Orlando as the New England Revolution increased their lead at the top to 12 points.
In the Western Conference, wins for the top 4 left those positions unchanged. RSL moved into the playoffs at the expense of LAFC, while Austin replaced Vancouver at the bottom.
We leave you this week with a memorable Cascadian derby as the Sounders hit the Timbers for 6.
Rui Diaz who scores! Oh, say big rebound and scored!
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.